Welcome to Saints Path to the Draft 2019 here at Lucas Oil Stadium NFL Combine. I'm John DeShazier and I'm joined by Saints Assistant General Manager and Director of College Scouting, Jeff Ireland. And Jeff, obviously the Saints don't have as many picks as they've had in past years, but does that make it easier or pretty much the same?
Oh, the process is similar. We're always going to look at every player like we had an early first-round pick. I always look at it as whether we're picking a player early or not, it's still a historical document that we've got to collect the information for 3 or 4 years later. So we do the work, and that's our job. And regardless of whether we have picks or not, we're gonna get it done.
When you come here this year, I don't necessarily want to say that the needs and wants are different, but it seems like the Saints are a much more team that's more solid, or there are less, I guess, roster spots to be won maybe, or that kind of thing. Is that accurate, or is that true?
Well, we like our roster for sure. We've done a good job of building the depth of our roster, but we're still going to continue down the same path of getting guys that compete for those roster spots, and we know where our depth is, and so we know where we got to go and try to find places that we need to compete for an upgrade. And that's what we'll continue to do.
You hear that the strength of this draft, or one of the strengths of this draft, might be the defensive line. Is that an area where you see the strengths being in this draft?
I definitely see there's a lot more depth in that particular position, especially defensive end. Defensive tackle may not be as deep, but there's certainly numbers there as well. So certainly we look at that as being a depth position.
When you're going through this process, and you've done it, many years, how much does it change over the years? What a team begins to look for, what you might personally look for?
Well, every draft is different because the players are different, and the approach to every draft is going to be different. Your needs, your wants, your must are different. It's hard to say that I'm approaching it differently, but you're approaching it differently because your team's different, and the players are different. So it's just a matter of finding the right guys and making sure you're cutting down your margin for error on every single player, and putting those players in the position where you can draft them.
Now how do you find that right guy? Because it seems like the Saints have I don't want to say discovered a secret sauce, but the last 3-4 drafts have been very, very successful for the franchise.
Well, look, I don't know that it's secret sauce or not. It's the same process that we've been using since I've been here, and it's just a matter of, again, cutting down your margin for error, making sure that the makeup of the player and the athleticism of the player matches what our coaches are looking for. My job is to find the head coach players and that fit the kind of guy he wants in the locker room, the kind of guys we already have in the locker room. Make sure that they fit, make sure that they're going to grow and continue to develop and want to do that, and then the right athlete that's going to have a chance to develop and be a starter or a good player in the league.
How much of a communication line do you have to have with the coach on that? Because especially when the team is more successful, it goes deeper into the playoffs, and so I guess the coaching staff doesn't have quite as much time to evaluate in the player process.
Well, we have a lot of one-off conversations. We don't necessarily have to be in a staff room or all together. I have a great relationship with all of our staff, offensively and defensively. I live in the same areas that they live in, and so we get together socially and talk about players. That's just kind of what we do. So a lot of these one-off conversations just happen, whenever, and we don't really know too much other than football. So when we get together, whether in the office or outside the office, we talk about football. And so that's the great thing about our staff. They love football as much as scouts and I do.
All right. I'm John DeShazier. That's Jeff Ireland. Continue to join us here on NewOrleansSaints.com for more.